I just wanted to share a response to this really quick. This is a fantastic point. And this is the kind of reason we need to dialogue about these things, because I often find the character limit and limitations over text kind of hinder us in being able to communicate to the full extent responses in this regard. So with this, yes, there were Vikings who valued these things. No one's debating that certain cultures and people groups haven't valued these things. An example is even cultures in modern day have different values in certain regards of these things. But there are always people, such as in the US or around the world, who look at the way they're living their lives and say, no, that's wrong. There needs to be justice there. Something needs to be fixed. So, just because they believe or base their system in a certain way doesn't mean it is right or wrong. Right. If you believe in subjective morality, though, you don't believe it's wrong either. You can't say any form of rape is wrong. You can't. Logically, if morality is purely relative and varies depending on culture, tradition, person, people group, so on and so forth, you have no right to say to somebody who, for instance, they are sexually aroused by abusing another person and taking advantage, so they want to rape. It makes them feel good. You have no right to tell them what you're doing is wrong. None whatsoever, because it's purely relative. It's purely subjective. If you carry this logic of subjective morality all the way through. Now, if you say to that person, no, what you're doing is wrong, and you need to pay justice for it. You need to go to jail, go to prison, or whatever, seek counseling. Something needs to be fixed in you. Then you must believe in objective morality to live that out consistently all the way through. Otherwise, when people lived like that, why wouldn't they just, plop them in another culture here in the modern world where they agree with that? And boom, bam, problem solved, Not really, though, because that person who is raped is still feeling that abuse and that shock and that shame and that disgust over the situation. It doesn't solve anything. We live as if wrongdoing needs justice. There's a reason that we got involved with the Holocaust. There was a people group saying, no, these people are bad, they're less than, and they deserve to die because they're ruining our economy. Who are you to say that they are wrong for saying that? If it's purely subjective and relative. Yes, that is what they valued. Nobody's debating what they were valuing. But what we're saying is, what they said was a right is actually a wrong. What they viewed as a subjective good thing is actually an objectively wrong thing. Not everybody recognizes rights and universal rights and wrongs. That isn't up for debate here. Of course, different cultures have done different practices. Nobody's saying they haven't. So, just making sure you understand that. The argument for objective morality isn't either that all morals are purely objective. Some morals are subjective. The argument for objective morality is only saying that there are key moral things that are objectively right and wrong. And it doesn't matter how we feel about it or how somebody else feels about it. For instance, me personally, I view murder as wrong. Okay? That's my subjective experience. Let's say another person down the road believes murder is subjectively right. They feel like it's right for them. And they murder a family member of mine. If I believe in subjective morality, I have no right to condemn them for what they did, because what they did was right in their eyes. And we recognize this all throughout culture. There are people who do things that makes them feel good that are wrongs, that we recognize as wrong. And they, even though they believe it to be right, we still punish them for it. We still correct their behavior. I say this as a correctional officer. I'm in prison all the time. I see it. There are people who genuinely believe what they did was right and perfectly fine. There are also those who actually have remorse over what they did and have learned, which I'm grateful for. But we live our lives as if there are objective rights and wrongs, trying to correct the wrongs to rights and recognizing the wrongs. Okay? That is what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that different cultures didn't value different things, but I'm saying that depending on what they valued, some of their values were objectively wrong. That's all.